Revealed. How a single mother delivery girl captivated a millionaire CEO over 8 models in an AMA. The moment Sarah stepped out of her cramped apartment, the city buzzed around her, a living organism of sound and color. She inhaled the sharp scent of roasted coffee mingling with the sweetness of blooming flowers, filling her with a fleeting hope. 8-year-old Mia with sun-kissed curls darted ahead, her laughter ringing through the streets like a melody. "Mom! Race ya!" she shouted, her boundless energy infectious. Sarah's heart beat with pride as she chased after Mia, vulnerability dissolving with each hurried step. Yet reality loomed. Rent was due. Bills piled up. Every day she tackled grueling delivery shifts, hiding the weight of worry from Mia behind a smile. Each drop-off, each signature collected was another inch closer to the dream she dared to hold. But everything shifted when Mia's school declared a grand charity gala, an event that, for Sarah, felt like an invitation to a world light years away. When the principal called for volunteers, Sarah found herself thrust into the planning committee, her heart racing with a cocktail of excitement and dread. Then, like an unstoppable force, millionaire CEO Jake Thompson entered the scene. With his polished smile and tailored suit, he seemed out of place amidst the laughter of children and the chaos of fundraising. But beneath that suave exterior was a man running from a past. He couldn't escape a past filled with superficial relationships and high-stakes negotiations. When he and Sarah met, she saw the flicker of genuine curiosity in his sharp eyes, as if she was a puzzle he longed to solve. Who knew a delivery girl could carry herself with such grace? Jake mused during a meeting, a bemused smile dancing on his lips. The others chuckled, but Sarah felt the heat spread across her cheeks. She was neither a model nor a socialite, yet Jake saw her differently. The grandiosity of his world collided with her authentic spirit, igniting something unexpected between them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days passed, and the gala drew closer, sparking a whirlwind of gossip. Sarah felt like a tempest in a teacup. How could she measure up in a world of floral gowns and perfect hair? Yet, as she caught glimpses of Jake, his warm, genuine laughter at the committee meetings, it became harder to ignore the chemistry crackling between them. But whispers started, and pressure mounted. Jake's past relationships came into play, painting him as a villain in the media's twisted narration. Was he only drawn to her simplicity, a distraction from his gilded cage? Sarah wrestled with insecurities, questioning if she could belong in his world, fraught with expectations and judgment. As the gala approached, a storm brewed. Faces she knew, friends who had always rallied, now looked at her with uncertainty, and doubt crept into her heart. Was she really deserving of a man like Jake? Her chest tightened at the thought of a future catapulting them both into scandal. Would she brave the gaudy lights and whispers of the gala, or retreat back into the shadows, fearing heartbreak for herself and Mia? Moments of silence echoed between her thoughts, each one more profound than the last. The shadows of uncertainty loomed heavy, but amidst it all, a flicker of hope remained. Would love prevail against all odds? As the evening approached, Sarah stood on the edge of transformation, wondering if she could truly seize her version of the American dream, or if destiny would write her another story entirely. The gala night arrived, draped in anticipation and shimmer. As Sarah laced up her shoes, a pair she'd borrowed from a friend, glossy and demanding, she felt a tremor of uncertainty race through her. Mia tugged at her skirt, eyes wide with admiration. "You look like a princess, Mommy," she exclaimed, genuine delight transforming her small features. Sarah smiled, placing a hand on Mia's shoulder, momentarily grounding herself in the innocent joy emanating from her daughter. But inside, a storm brewed. The clash of reality against fairy tale expectations loomed ominously. This was no ordinary evening. It represented everything she hungered for yet feared losing. Was she truly stepping into a world meant for her? Or was she a momentary afterthought in someone else's story? Once they arrived at the venue, a sprawling hall decked in fairy lights and floral arrangements, her heart raced. matching the rhythmic pulse of the jazz band playing softly in the background. She clutched Mia's hand tightly, navigating through groups of elegantly dressed people, each glance feeling heavy and scrutinizing. Did they see her as an imposter? Just then she spotted Jake across the room, surrounded by glimmering admirers. He was laughing, the kind of carefree laughter that seemed to draw everyone into his orbit. But when his eyes met hers, the laughter faded into an expression of pure warmth. He confidently excused himself from his entourage, making a beeline toward her, and the world around them blurred, leaving only the two of them in sharp focus. "Wow, you look stunning," he said softly, a genuine spark lighting up his eyes. "Mia, you're an amazing artist." He knelt down to Mia's level, making her bubble with giggles. "Thanks, Mr. Jake. I made a picture of you in art class." Mia beamed, pulling out a crumpled drawing from her little backpack. It featured a tall figure towering over a sun, complete with the word CEO scrawled across the top. Jake chuckled, accepting the drawing with a warm smile. "I'll hang it proudly in my office." As they shared that moment, Sarah felt the shadows of her earlier insecurities dissipate slightly. Perhaps she was not entirely out of place here. Perhaps the world of glamour and wealth was ready to embrace someone as real as her. But just as the feeling of warmth spread, a sharp voice pierced through the moment. "Jake, is it true you're dating the delivery girl now?" A jealous socialite accidentally brushed past them, her tone laced with malice. Sarah's heart sank. The whispers of uncertainty returned, wrapping around her like a choking vine. Had she stepped into the role of the town scandal, a topic to be gossiped about over brunches? She could see the flicker of tension in Jake's eyes, but he wasn't backing down. "No, I'm not dating anyone. I'm getting to know someone wonderful." He kept his gaze steady on Sarah, as if trying to reassure her with his presence. As the crowd continued to swirl around them, Sarah tuned into the chatter, murmurs of judgment slicing through the air. With every laugh, every whispered comment, the weight of expectation began to press down on her chest. She had prepared for this moment, but now, faced with the reality of it, everything felt fragile. Then amidst the chaos, Mia broke free, darting towards a group of children who were juggling colorful balloons. The innocence in her laughter was a stark contrast to the tension wrapping around Sarah. She knew at that moment she had to make a choice, to remain anchored in the judgment of others or to follow the pure joy that radiated from Mia. Taking a breath, Sarah turned back to Jake, heart pounding, a newfound determination blooming inside her. Would she step forward into this chaos of romance and reputation, risking everything, or take a step back into the safety of her past? Just as her lips parted to voice her thoughts, the lights dimmed, loud applause filled the hall, and the night prepared to reach its climax. What awaited her in this world of brightness and shadows? With every second, Sarah could feel her path diverging as she stood on the edge of revelation, daring to leap into the unknown. The applause echoed, wrapping around Sarah like a warm blanket, yet it felt surreal. She blinked, the dazzling lights blinding for a moment, and suddenly the hall transformed into a stage. All eyes were on Jake as he stepped toward the microphone, ready to address his guests. Sarah felt a rush of nerves and impulse to hide, but Mia's cheerful laugh drifted back to her, reminding her of the joy she had just been seeking. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake's voice rang out, clear and confident. "Thank you for being here tonight. We are here to celebrate achievements, not just in business but in life. I want to take a moment to acknowledge someone very special to me." Sarah's heart raced. Could he really be talking about her? She felt the familiar sensation of warmth creeping up her cheeks. The whispers of doubt threatened to drown her out again, but she steeled herself against them. Jake pointed directly at her. "Sarah, you've been a bright spark in my life. Mia too. Thank you for reminding me what truly matters." Gasps swept through the crowd and Sarah faltered, her hand instinctively tightening around Mia's. Was this really happening? Did he just name her in front of everyone? She looked around, catching a glance at the faces watching her, a blend of surprise, envy, and curiosity mixed together like the colors in one of Mia's paintings. "Tonight, we're not just sharing our successes. We're celebrating the unexpected connections that take us by surprise," Jake continued. "And Sarah, you represent that unexpected joy I didn't know I needed." With every word, the knots in Sarah's stomach loosened, replaced by something that felt like hope. It was as if Jake's acknowledgement swept away the layers of judgment from those sharp-tongued socialites. Maybe she wasn't just the delivery girl after all. But then the buzz of the crowd shifted. Whispers punctuated the air, carrying a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "Who is she?" they murmured. "Has she really caught his eye?" The fingers pointed, the glances flicked back and forth. Sarah felt exposed, raw under their scrutiny like a freshly peeled grape. "Mia." Sarah turned to her daughter, who was beaming up at Jake, oblivious to the tension swirling around them. Her small hand squeezed her mother's, anchoring her back to joy. "Let us go dance," she declared, pulling Sarah towards the dance floor, as if the rhythm of the music held the key to their escape. Sarah took a breath, letting Mia pull her into a world where the judgments faded with each beat. For a moment, the music drowned out the negative thoughts racing in her mind. They twirled together, a mini whirlwind of laughter and light. Seeing Mia's smile felt cleansing, a simple joy that eclipsed the chaos around them as they danced. Sarah let herself indulge in the moment, letting the energy of the crowd seep into her bones. Jake watched from the sidelines, a smile of encouragement brightening his face. She felt a rush of gratitude towards him, for pushing her to step into the light when the darkness sought to hold her back. But as she spun under the glimmering chandeliers, a chilling realization struck her. What did it mean for her to be here with Jake, with all that he represented? And would she be able to withstand the storm of gossip and judgment? Just then the floating thought slipped through her heart, was she truly ready for what this all might bring? As the song came to an end, Sarah caught her breath, her heart pounding not just from dancing but from the steep climb ahead. In that moment of clarity, she realized this was the crossroads of her life. And deep inside her a question lingered like a whisper. Would she have the courage to embrace this new chapter? Not just for herself, but for Mia too. With those thoughts swirling in her mind, she leaned down to whisper to her daughter, unaware that the night held yet another surprise waiting just around the corner. Sarah's heart pounded against her ribcage as she pulled Mia closer. The laughter and chatter of the crowd blurred into a comforting hum, yet she couldn't shake off the feeling of eyes lingering on her. Each rhythmic beat of the music seemed to echo her internal battle. Should she revel in this moment or shrink away? Just then, a figure stepped into her peripheral vision, interrupting her spiraling thoughts. It was Jake, wandering onto the dance floor, his expression a mix of determination and warmth. He extended his hand to her, an invitation laced with something unspoken. The crowd parted slightly, granting them a small sanctuary amidst the sea of curious spectators. "Dance with me?" he asked, his voice low enough to offer only to her. She hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Could she really do this? Could she waltz into a world that felt light years away from her own? But Mia's cheerleading grin urged her on. With a silent nod, she placed her hand in Jake's, feeling a jolt of electricity zip through her as they glided across the floor. Jake's arm found its way around her waist, pulling her closer. The music shifted to something softer, a gentle ballad that wrapped them in intimacy. She felt the warmth of his body against hers, and for a split second, she forgot about the judgment, the whispers, the doubts kissing at the edges of her mind. "You're incredible," Jake said, gazing into her eyes as they swayed together. "You brought a light to my life I didn't know I needed. And I want to know you, all of you." His words hung in the air, heavy with promise. Sarah felt her walls begin to crumble, little by little as they locked eyes. There was no denying the magnetic pull between them. Beneath his polished exterior, she sensed a longing, a desire for connection that mirrored her own. But just as her heart dared to embrace the possibility, a shadow sparked in her mind. "What about them?" she asked, glancing toward the crowd, now a lively backdrop of laughter and murmurs. "What are they thinking?" Jake chuckled softly, brushing back a loose strand of hair from her face. "Let them think. You have to focus on what matters on us." A wave of courage washed over Sarah, washing away the insecurities that had clung tightly for far too long. As they danced, she felt the butterflies swimming in her stomach, forging the pathway to something mysterious and beautiful. She might be a delivery girl, but tonight she was so much more. Yet out of the blue, a sharp voice cut through the music like a shard of glass. "Jake, seriously? You're actually dancing with her?" The laughter that followed was cruel, slicing through the moment, confining Sarah back in her doubts. She stiffened, heat rising in her cheeks as she turned to see a group of elegantly dressed women. Their eyes filled with disdain, nearly oozing entitlement. They looked like models from a magazine, confident and poised, and each laugh felt like a jab to Sarah's heart. Jake's face hardened, a flash of anger crossing his features. "Excuse me?" In that instant, Sarah felt the tug of reality grip her. The intoxicating moment faltered, almost slipping through her fingers like fine sand. Had she been brave enough for this? Or was she stepping right into a storm she wasn't prepared to weather? She could feel Mia's small fingers squeezing hers, grounding her. The child, in her youthful innocence, whispered, "Don't listen, Mama. You're amazing." That sweet voice offered a lifeline in a turbulent sea. Taking a deep breath, Sarah squared her shoulders, meeting Jake's eyes with renewed strength. She had come too far to retreat now. But was she truly ready for the storm ahead? Would Jake stand by her side as the winds howled? As she prepared to respond, the atmosphere shifted once more, bringing with it a revelation neither of them saw coming. Sarah felt the air shift, a palpable energy swirling around her and Jake like a sudden wind. Her heart pounded louder, each thump drumming out her doubts. Was she really prepared to take on what this night could bring? Just when she thought the moment couldn't be more charged, the music faded to a hush, leaving only the unsettling echoes of those ladies' laughter. "Jake," she started, but his firm grip on her waist silenced her. He leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "Just be with me," he said, the sincerity in his voice cutting through the noise. Ignore them. But how could she? They were like wolves in designer clothing, prowling for weakness. Their taunts wrapped around her, igniting old insecurities, flashes of every time she felt unworthy. Every time she felt like an outsider. "Why are you wasting your time with her, Jake?" One of the women called out, smug and self-assured. "You could have anyone here." Jake's jaw tightened, his eyes sharp like a hawk spotting its prey. "Anyone wouldn't be half the person Sarah is," he shot back, the fierce protectiveness clear in his tone. The crowd's chatter softened. Sarah's heart stirred with gratitude but also panic. She wanted to believe in this moment, to revel in the idea that someone like Jake could want someone like her. "Mama, don't be sad," Mia whispered, her small hand still clenching Sarah's, pulling her back from the edge of her spiraling thoughts. She looked down at her daughter, whose innocent eyes were filled with unwavering love. The strength that radiated from that little girl was like a beacon in the storm. Jake's gaze softened as he looked at Mia. "See? She's amazing. You two are a team. No one can take that away from you." The words curled around Sarah's heart, igniting something deep within her. Maybe it was true. Maybe they did have something special, something the other women could never understand. She took a steadying breath and lifted her chin, letting the uncertainty morph into determination. "I'm not going to let anyone define who I am," she announced, her voice steadier than she felt. The crowd hushed slightly, taking note. Jake's gaze held hers, and she drew strength from the warmth in his eyes. "Exactly," Mia cheered, grinning wide, her enthusiasm lightening the oppressive atmosphere. But just as she began to feel the tide turn, the hostile group converged, the lead woman stepping forward with an almost predatory smile, her eyes glinting with mischief. "Oh, how cute. The little girl thinks her mama is a queen. But we all know the truth, don't we?" "Enough." Jake's voice cut through the air, firm and commanding. "You think you can come here and drag her down with your snobbery? You're wrong. She's real. You don't know her story and you don't get to judge her." The energy in the room crackled, a shift palpable as people turned their attention to the confrontation. Sarah could feel the weight of their gazes, sensing that she teetered on the edge of a precipice. Could Jake truly defend her, or was this just a fleeting act of gallantry before he returned to his world? In that charged moment, Sarah realized something. This was not just about the judgment of others, it was about claiming her identity, about standing tall with the ones who loved her. With every ounce of courage she stepped forward, linking her arm through Jake's. "I'm not ashamed of who I am," she declared, her voice rising. "I'm proud to be Mia's mother. I may be a delivery girl, but I'm not just that. I have dreams and I'm fighting for them." The group exchanged glances of disbelief, their sneers fading into something resembling respect mixed with confusion. And in that moment, she felt the crowd shift, some nodding in quiet agreement, others with curiosity. Could this really be happening? But before she could catch her breath, the music picked up again, bringing life back into the room, a cheeky counterpoint to the tension. A new song pulsed through the speakers, a rhythmic beat igniting the floor once more. Jake didn't waste a moment. Dance? He asked again, his eyes inviting her into a sanctuary that only they could share. Sarah hesitated, but the look on Mia's face spurred her on. Her heart raced, a mixture of excitement and fear. What if this was a new beginning, a chance to redefine herself not just for Jake, but for her daughter too? As they stepped into the rhythm of the music, she felt the storm inside her quiet. Just then, she caught a glimpse of the women's faces reflecting a complex mix of envy and grudging respect. But that no longer mattered. Sarah had finally taken a stand. But little did she know, the night was about to reveal a deeper truth, one that would change everything. As Sarah swayed to the music, she felt a sense of liberation coursing through her veins. Each beat seemed to dissolve her apprehensions, the rhythm wrapping around her like a protective cloak. Jake's presence beside her ignited a flicker of joy that she hadn't experienced in what felt like ages. They moved in sync, the world around them fading away with every spin and every shared smile. Mia twirled in the space beside them, giggling with a playful abandon that warmed Sarah's heart. For a brief moment, the tension from earlier dissipated, consumed by the magic of the dance floor. It was just them, a tight trio caught in the midst of this chaotic celebration. But as the song progressed, Sarah also felt the stares of the crowd. There were whispers, curiosity mixed with intrigue. She caught snippets of conversations drifting through the air. Did you see how he looks at her? He really must like her. The crowd may have begun to see her differently, but she knew she still had her work cut out for her. The self-doubt was still there, lurking beneath the surface of this beautiful moment, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Just keep dancing, she reminded herself, eyes fixed on Mia's joyful face. It was enough to keep her grounded and remind her of the important things in life. Then, just as the song drew to a close and she felt herself letting go of the evening's turmoil, the lead woman, whose name Sarah still didn't know, returned, this time with a smirk that fizzled any warmth that had reignited in the air. Wow, it seems like you really have Jake under your spell now, she remarked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. But remember, this is a temporary fling. Enjoy it while it lasts. The words were like daggers that threatened to pierce through her newfound confidence. Sarah's heart raced, her pulse quickening as icy dread washed over her. How could she keep deflecting this negativity? But Jake's hand tightened around hers, and it was as if all the air around them shifted once more. He spun her, bringing them close so their foreheads nearly touched. Ignore her, he whispered, his dark eyebrows knit with concern, his gaze steady and reassuring. You're not just some fling, Sarah. You're more than that to me. His words, so intensely sincere, warmed her heart. They wrapped around the shards of her insecurities, allowing them to be cloaked in something deeper. I can't let them get to me, she said, her voice trembling slightly. What if they're right? They're not, he insisted, his tone firm but gentle. You know who you are. You've got power in you. This moment, this dance? It's a reflection of that. Let it be enough. Okay, she whispered, willing to believe in his words as they returned to the dance, their bodies swaying in time to the beats of the music. She met Jake's gaze, a sense of hope swelling in her chest, intertwined with the shadows of doubt that still lingered. Just then, the crowd erupted into applause, snapping Sarah from her thoughts. She glanced around, feeling a mix of surprise and disbelief that they were all so drawn into their little moment. A few people had even joined in, mimicking their movements. See? Jake smiled, squeezing her hand. You're not just a mom or a delivery girl. You're someone who ignites sparks wherever you go. But just as Sarah began to let herself bask in Jake's praises, the atmosphere shifted once again. She spotted a tall, striking figure approaching from the corner of her eye. It was Eric, the CEO of the company where Jake worked, the single man who seemed to command attention without even trying. His sharp suit contrasted sharply with the casual attire of the partygoers. As he drew near, the room felt electric. Sarah held her breath. What could he want with her? Jake, can I borrow you for a moment? Eric asked, his gaze landing on Sarah for only a heartbeat before shifting back to Jake. Jake glanced back at Sarah, concern flickering across his features. I'll just be a minute. A knot formed in Sarah's stomach as she watched the two men walk away. Eric's presence crashed into her like a tidal wave, bringing back the insecurity she had fought so hard to overcome. What could someone like him want with someone like her? Would this conversation about to happen unravel everything they had just built, throwing her back into the shadows? With a racing heart, she stood frozen, the music fading into a dull hum, waiting for a revelation or a disaster. The air crackled as Sarah tried to focus on the laughter and chatter around her, but she couldn't shake the heavy feeling in her chest. Watching Jake walk away with Eric felt like a scene playing out in slow motion. The pulse of the music thumped louder as if trying to drown out her spiraling thoughts. What if Eric was going to pull Jake into a world she wouldn't fit in? Just breathe, she whispered to herself, attempting to ground her thoughts. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, forcing her gaze back to Mia, who was joyfully spinning on the dance floor. But the vibrant glow of the party started to dim. Sarah glanced over her shoulder, watching Jake and Eric huddle together, their conversation animated. There was an urgency to Eric's gestures, the way he pointed toward the crowd and spoke with intensity. Memories of Simon's dismissive attitude flattered her mind. What if Jason spent the next hour enthralled by Eric's world? Before her anxiety could fully settle in, Mia appeared by her side, pulling Sarah back into the present. "Where did Jake go?" she asked, glancing toward the men. "Oh, just talking to Eric," Sarah said, trying to sound casual, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her nerves. "Eric? The guy who looks like he just stepped off a magazine cover?" Mia's eyes widened. "He's hot. And he's like super rich. What do you think they're talking about?" "I don't know. Nothing important." Sarah felt a lump rising in her throat. "Just business stuff." "Business, huh? You think he's trying to recruit Jake for some fancy gig?" Mia pressed. The thought struck like lightning. "Maybe," she said, forcing a smile. "But he's not going anywhere." Mia pursed her lips, looking skeptical. "I don't know, Sarah. That guy probably has connections in places we can't even imagine." A shadow of jealousy crept into Sarah's mind. She tried to push it away, but it was hard with the vibrant contrast of the party unfolding before her. The laughter, the carefree attitude surrounded her like a bubble, yet she felt as if she stood on the outside looking in. Danny, the bartender, caught her eye and grinned. "You good, Sarah?" "Yeah, just peachy," she replied, lifting her chin in an effort to project confidence. "Don't sweat it," he said. "You've got something special. People can see it." As his words washed over her, she felt another surge of determination. Maybe she wasn't just the delivery girl anymore. Maybe that was her past, and this moment could be something different. But uncertainty still gnawed at her as she caught a glimpse of Eric's confident posture, his easy charm working its magic on those around him. "What do I do, Mia?" she whispered, anxiety creeping back. "What do I do if he gets Jake to leave me behind?" Mia crossed her arms. "You got this, Sarah. Think about it. You and Jake, you've got a connection." As she spoke, something in Sarah flickered. "You really think so?" "Absolutely. Just look at how he looks at you." Grabbing her friend's hand, Sarah took a deep breath. "You're right. I can't let my fears win. I need to stay strong." Just then, the crowd around them erupted with the crashing sounds of laughter and cheers, and Sarah turned back to see Jake stepping away from Eric. A wide grin stretched across his face. "Sarah!" he shouted, excitement just bursting from him. Her heart raced. The universe seemed to lean forward, and in a split second the room quieted. Jake began, scanning the crowd, his eyes burning with something. A revelation? But just as Sarah opened her mouth, ready to respond, Eric stepped closer, his cobalt gaze set on her. "I think we need to talk, Sarah," he said, his tone commanding yet surprisingly gentle. And there it was, her breath caught in her throat again. What could this man want from her? Sarah felt the weight of Eric's gaze, but it wasn't just a casual look. It was a probing observation that cut through the noise around her. The way he focused on her sent a shiver down her spine. Jake's infectious energy faded into the background, replaced by a palpable tension that danced in the air. "I'm not sure what we need to talk about," she stammered, her confidence slipping. "Oh, it's simple," Eric responded, a smirk curling at the edges of his mouth. "I've seen you from a distance. You're different." The way he leaned in made her heart race. It was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. "Different? How so?" She crossed her arms, trying to shield herself from the waves of uncertainty swirling inside her. "You're not like the others in this crowd," he said, glancing briefly past her. "You have this authentic quality." As he spoke, his words were like honey, both sweet and sticky. But there was an underlying edge she couldn't ignore. From across the room, Jake was still laughing with his friends, oblivious to this moment. Jealousy gnawed at Sarah again. But Eric's presence pulled her attention back. "What do you mean by authentic?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. "People here are often focused on appearances, indulgence, and wealth. You're grounded. You have goals, dreams. You don't just float through life." His gaze locked onto hers, and for a moment, everything else blurred around them. "What does that have to do with you?" Sarah felt the urge to challenge him, her anxiety mixing with curiosity. "Because we're hosting an event soon, and I could use someone with your passion on my team," he continued, surprisingly sincere. "I'm not trying to take you away from Jake, but more like offer you an opportunity." Sarah blinked, processing his words. "You want me to work for you?" "Exactly. Think about it. This is a chance to step into a different world, one where you can truly shine." The idea was both exciting and overwhelming. Could she really step away from her old life? "Why me though? You must have tons of applicants lining up," she said, trying to mask her disbelief. "Like I said, I see something unique in you," Eric replied, his voice dropping. "You have grit. And right now that's rare." Behind them, Mia had spotted the conversation and was watching with wide eyes. Sarah could sense her friend's unspoken questions. What was happening? "Let me think about it," Sarah said, feeling a flicker of fear. "Take your time. But don't wait too long," Eric urged, standing a bit closer. "This isn't just about being a part of my team. It's about discovering yourself in a way you never thought possible." A thought sparked deep inside Sarah. Could this be a chance for something more? Just then the music shifted. A heavy beat echoed through the room, jarring Sarah from her thoughts. Jake's laughter drew nearer, and she felt a pull, not just for him but also for the uncertainty of what lay ahead with Eric's offer. She turned to see Jake approaching, a radiant smile on his face. "Sarah, did I miss something?" "Just a little chat," she replied, trying to mask her turmoil. "And what a fascinating chat it looks like," Jake said, his eyes darting between them, uncertainty brewing. But Eric was quick, playing the role of the charming businessman. "Just discussing projects, Jake. You know how it is." The spark of tension bubbled between them. "Yeah, right." Jake squinted at Sarah, searching her face for clues. "Are we good? You look a little off." Sarah's heart raced as she squashed the emotional war boiling inside her. What would she choose? The steadiness of her life with Jake, or a chance to chase something greater? Whispered by someone as charismatic as Eric. Before she could respond, Eric stepped back, leaning towards Jake with an easy charm. "Tell me, Jake, how do you feel about opportunities in the business world? Especially for someone with potential like Sarah?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. And at that moment, Sarah knew the conversation was only beginning. What path would she choose? Would Jake even support her if she stepped into this new world? The room hummed with unspoken possibilities, and all Sarah could think about was the door that might swing open or the one that could slam shut. Sarah watched as Jake's brows knitted together in confusion, the easy smile fading from his face. He glanced at Eric, then back at her, as if expecting an explanation that didn't come. Instead, she felt stuck in a strange limbo between two worlds, the very thing Eric had confronted her about only moments before. "Is this about a job? Seriously?" Jake asked, skepticism lacing his tone. "You're not really considering this, are you?" Before she could answer, Eric interjected, his voice smooth and confident. "Just a casual opportunity for Sarah to showcase her talents. Nothing to worry about, Jake." Sarah couldn't ignore the icy edge in Eric's charm. What game was he playing? She could feel Jake's unease, and it gnawed at her. Would Jake ever believe in her enough to embrace the idea of her stepping out of her comfort zone? Casual, huh? Jake's skepticism morphed into defensive protectiveness, urging Sarah to make a choice. "Listen, what about our plans? We were supposed to enjoy this night together." She felt every ounce of his disappointment. The whispers of doubt floated around her like a fog. "I just want a moment to think," Sarah said, her voice softer than she intended. "Think about what?" Jake pressed, crossing his arms in that familiar way that meant he was trying to maintain control of his own spiraling emotions. This guy swoops in and suddenly you're looking to abandon everything we have? Abandon? The word struck like a lightning bolt. Abandon was not what this was about. Wasn't it about growing? Finding more than what lay before her, about discovering something extraordinary in herself? Jake, it's not like that, she replied, feeling desperation creep into her voice. Eric just sees something in me. Something you don't, maybe. It's a chance to prove that I can be more than just what? Eric interjected sharply. Just a delivery girl. It's about breaking the mold. The air turned electric. Sarah's heart thumped painfully in her chest. Unsure if this was all too flattering or a calculated exploitation of hope. How had she let things get this far? She should just walk away and forget Eric had ever slipped into her world. But she didn't want to walk away. The thought of potential lit a spark deep within her. And despite the chaos, it stirred yearning. Jake softened a bit, the fire behind his eyes flickering. Sarah, I believe in you. But you need to see what's at stake here. What does this guy even know about you? I have dreams, Jake, she asserted, her voice rising slightly. Dreams that go beyond this. I want to feel like I can achieve something, not just in front of the delivery truck. The tension stretched between them. Jake's face morphed from disappointment to concern, and for a fleeting moment, she saw clarity in his eyes. Okay, then let us talk about this, Jake said slowly, turning to Eric. But if you're trying to manipulate her for your gain, you'll regret it. Eric smiled, his eyes glinting with amusement. Don't worry, Jake. I don't do manipulations. I only offer paths to greatness. Sarah felt her heart race again as she caught Eric's gaze. The weight of his words teetering between promise and doubt. She didn't know what this meant for them, but she had to admit part of her thrilled at the thought of being more than who she had always been. Suddenly Mia approached, picking up on the building heat around them. Hey guys, what's going on? You all look like you're in a scene from a soap opera. She joked lightly, trying to diffuse the tension. But her humor couldn't break the tightness in Sarah's chest. Just some friendly negotiation, Eric said, his confident smile never wavering. Negotiation for what? Mia shot back sharply. Sarah, are you okay? The crowd pulsed and shifted, music thumping rhythmically behind them. Yet Sarah felt frozen, a solitary island caught in a turbulent sea of choices. Should she hug the shore of her known life with Jake? Or leap into the uncharted waters Eric was presenting? Before she could speak, Eric leaned in again, dropping his voice. Think about it, Sarah. Take the leap. You could be amazing. And then, it happened. A whisper of vital truth sunk deep within her, stoking a fire that couldn't be easily quelled. Yet just as swiftly doubts crashed in like waves against a rock. For the first time, Sarah saw the chasm between her two worlds. The question suddenly loomed large: could following Eric's offer mean victory or disaster? As the vibrations of the music reached her, her choice seemed to hang in the balance precariously. With every ounce of conviction she could muster, she turned to both of them, the words hanging on the tip of her tongue. So, what's the next step? In that moment, she realized she was standing at a crossroads, and all paths shimmered with uncertainty. What awaited her just beyond the horizon? The air buzzed with uncertainty as Sarah's heart thrummed in her chest, the weight of her decision heavy upon her. The chaotic swirl of the gala faded away, and it felt like she was holding two different lives in her hands. One of them was a journey, bright with new possibilities like shooting stars, but shrouded in the fog of doubt. The other? A path steeped in familiarity with comfort. Okay, let's talk, she finally said, a burst of determination shining in her eyes. The words echoed in her mind, slipping from her lips like a long-held breath finally released. Jake's gaze softened slightly, recognition of the weight of that moment dawning on him. You mean it? He asked quietly, uncertainty threaded through his voice. She nodded. I want to understand what Eric sees in me, what else is out there. She felt powerful, a storm ready to break free. Eric leaned closer, his sharp smile widening. That's the spirit, Sarah. Join me and I promise you won't regret it. You could really shake things up. But Jake took her hand, grounding her amidst the whirlwind. No matter what you decide, just promise me one thing, he insisted. Don't lose yourself in this. You are incredible as you are. I'll support you in whatever you choose, but don't forget that you've already built something beautiful right here. You're more than potential. His words rippled through her heart, a strong tether connecting her to everything that mattered. Mia's laughter, the warmth of their little apartment, their simple but cherished routine. For a moment, Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I know, she managed, feeling a bittersweet knot in her stomach. But I want to see if there's more. The crowd around them felt like a swirling vortex, whispers flitting back and forth, curiosity literally buzzing in the air. Sarah caught snippets again. She must be ambitious. But can she really fit in? Then, like a sudden bolt of lightning, something clicked. The truth was, she already belonged to a world shaped by her unconditional love for Mia, her perseverance and her struggles. It was raw and grounded. If this new opportunity pulled her into the glitz and glam, what would she lose in the exchange? Hey, you two, time to cut the tension, Mia suddenly chirped, squeezing Sarah's other hand with youthful confidence. Can we all just? She tilted her head adorably and mimicked the dance moves they had been doing earlier, laughter bubbling from her lips. Mama, you're my queen. And Jake, you're her prince. We need to dance. Lightness washed over Sarah, grounding her again. Her daughter's pure heart was a beacon guiding her home. You're right, kiddo, Sarah smiled. The weight lifted from her shoulders as she took a moment to breathe. If Mia could embrace joy amidst the chaos, then so could she. Let us go dance, she said, lifting Mia high, her giggles intoxicating the air. The moment's gravity melted away, and Sarah glanced back at Jake, who was watching with admiration, warmth reflecting in his dark eyes as they danced together. Wrapped in vibrant music and flashes of joy, Sarah felt the realization that perhaps she didn't have to choose. Balance could exist between her dreams and her foundation. In that joyful moment, the lights twinkled around her, illuminating her truth. She may have been a delivery girl, yet she was also a passionate mother capable of capturing the best of both worlds. Later that night, as the gala wound down, Sarah gathered her courage. Eric, she started, catching him before he slipped away. I appreciate the opportunity you offered, but I'm going to decline. Surprise flickered on Eric's face, quickly replaced with acceptance. Fair enough, Sarah. Just know my door is always open. You have something special. Sarah smiled, feeling the weight lift. She had taken a leap, not just fearlessly but truthfully. The world wasn't about fit or belonging alone. It was about becoming who she was meant to be, learning, growing, and thriving while holding her loved ones dear. As she rejoined the dance floor, Jake approached her, beaming pridefully. You did it, he said, his voice so soft it felt like a cozy blanket. I'm proud of you. Not everyone has that kind of strength. Sarah grinned, the sweet pang of hope coursing through her. I'm just beginning to believe in myself. Thank you for being here with me. Always, Jake promised, pulling her close once more. As laughter and music wrapped around them, sealing a moment she'd always remember. Hand in hand, they surrendered to the rhythm of the dance floor, embracing this next chapter together, not as a delivery girl and a millionaire, but as two spirited souls navigating this unpredictable yet beautiful journey called life. And as they twirled into the night, under flickering lights and swirling dreams, they knew that together, they would chase the extraordinary without forgetting who they truly were. Now, before you go do all the things, don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories. Leave a like if you believe in following your heart, and share your reactions in the comments below. We want to know how this one touched you. And please, share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Every share matters. Show your support, and be part of a community that believes in dreaming big.